Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a client that was making steady progress in their life. They'd already removed a few, let's say, unhelpful habits. They were making progress. They wanted to continue that journey. And what they felt would help them to continue to make progress is having a really optimistic, compelling, positive vision of their future. And intuitively, we know this to be true. If you think of someone that, let's say, is in prison for a crime they didn't commit, and it's a life sentence and they're never going to leave, and they just resign themselves that they're never going to leave, or maybe they did be responsible for that crime and they're never going to leave that jail cell, there isn't a huge incentive for them to be super healthy and super fit and make great choices, because they know their future is certain and quite bleak anyway. And a lot of people can fall into a trap of thinking there is nothing to live for or nothing good will happen, and they can be quite cynical and pessimistic about the future. And when you have that, intuitively, you are motivated to make more short-term decisions. So eating badly, maybe drinking too much alcohol, maybe drug taking, purely because there isn't a compelling vision of the future. But when you have something wonderful to live for and there's a real compelling vision of the future, then sometimes you just have to do pragmatic things in order to achieve the result that you want. So that's why a lot of people are able to lose weight for a wedding, because they imagine that future scene and they want to imagine themselves being slim in the pictures. Or a holiday, they want to imagine themselves looking slim in a bikini on a beach or something like that. If there's an athlete, they would accept that to compete at a certain level, they need to make certain choices about sleep, eating, nutrition, and training, that they can't do both. So even if you think about running a marathon, if you have never trained for a marathon and you sign up for a marathon, you get this idea that you have to train because it's a pragmatic, necessary stepping stone to be able to do the thing that you want to do. So you're going to hear two main things in this hypnosis session. One, a way of accessing an idea of what that compelling vision of the future would be. There's metaphors like the multiverse and infinite parallel universes to get an idea of what would this person be doing at their best, in their absolute best life. What does that look like? What can they learn from that? And what future is possible for them? But also the idea of just pragmatic choices, that sometimes it's not a big deal to quit something or change something. You just decide that, hey, this gets in the way of doing what I want to do, so I'm going to make this change and then I can do it. And sometimes not making it a big deal is actually really helpful. And I've used this approach with quite a few clients, and they'll ask the question, do I need to listen to this audio recording, every day for 2 months? And I'm like, I don't think you need to listen to it at all, because if you evaluate that you now have the resources to do the change that you need to, feeling like you have to listen to something again and again and again has the presupposition that you're still not fixed. Want to assume that you're fixed and then listen to the audio if you feel like it's going to be helpful. And I think sometimes we don't apply the psychology to help us, but we are willing to apply the psychology to hinder us. And sometimes the easiest change to make is just making a change, not making it a big deal, just making a choice that, knowing what I now know, I would never have started this thing. I don't want to continue doing this thing, so I'm going to stop this thing. And that can be quite helpful. If you feel like you would like to make changes in your life, and for some reason you're not able to get there yourself, There will be a link in the show notes for you to schedule a free consultation call to explore working with me. Also, I've got lots and lots of downloads at half price on my website that you can access. Again, the link is in the show notes, that might not be this particular recording, but a different recording to help create some kind of change that would be useful for you. For now, though, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and on the outward breath, just allow your eyelids to close. And as they close, just feel a deep connection with yourself. As you breathe in through your nose, feel like you're breathing in a feeling of calm and resourcefulness. And as you exhale, have a growing sense that tension, stress, anxiety, or worry is leaving your body in your outward breath. Meaning that by breathing in and breathing out, find yourself gravitating towards a place of calm, tranquility, and deep inner peace. Breathing in and breathing out, and just allow the tension in your forehead to release. Just imagine that any tension in the temples or around your eyebrows just melting away. Breathing in that resourceful feeling, and just acknowledging that sometimes tension exists in places that was useful at one point in time, but is no longer useful now. Maybe that's tension in your jaw, around your mouth, perhaps the neck. And I want you to create an image in your mind of a helium balloon on a string. And just see that brightly colored helium balloon just floating there. Still connected by the string, but the helium balloon is just floating. And I want you to get a sense as to what it would feel like if your head was that helium balloon, just feeling light and floaty, having a sense of complete freedom from tension. That's right. Enabling you to go deeper and deeper relax, releasing any tension from your neck and your shoulders all the way down your arms, deep into your fingers. As you breathe in, just allow that feeling of relaxation to release any tension, even in parts of your body that it's impossible to know if they're tense. Just imagine your lungs are relaxing, stomach relaxing, heart relaxing, all the way into your intestines, all the way into your gut, the bank account of anxiety. Breathing in and breathing out, just releasing any tension in your eyelids, feeling an internal desire to yawn. You don't have to yawn, but just feel what it would feel like to have the desire to yawn, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. Relaxation going all the way into your legs. That's it. And I want you to imagine looking back on your life, knowing what you now know, and knowing the cause and effect relationship of certain things. Knowing what you now know, what would you do differently? I want you to think, what skills would you have learned earlier? What habits or hobbies would you have taken up? What things would you have never started? Because sometimes, in order to create a compelling vision of the future, we need to look backwards and extract the wisdom from our previous choices to enable the future to be more desirable than the past. So I want you to breathe in and breathe out and just look backwards. Knowing what you now know, knowing what is now important. If you could go back in time and change things, what would you change? Not because it changes anything in what actually happens. It just means that you get a different insight, a different appreciation. And I want you to create an idea of a multiverse where there are billions and billions of versions of you with every iteration of your life. And as you start to think of habits and choices, decisions and actions and reactions, I want you to start to think about those other realities where you exist, where you are free of habits, free of certain belief systems, free of ways of thinking. And of all these billions of iterations that exist of you, I want your unconscious mind to take you to the version of you where you are at your healthiest and happiest. And I want you to imagine visiting that universe, that world, and just observing your life as it would be, where you're living at your healthiest and happiest. And when you're at that place, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine that you are just a secret spectator watching this life. And just imagine you're there to learn, observe, not to interact, not to change anything in this reality, just to learn from this reality. They say the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, and the second best time is right now. And I want you to imagine looking at this reality through this lens. You're at your healthiest and happiest not by accident, but because of choices that you made in this reality. And you can't go back in your reality and make the same choices at the same time. But what if you made similar choices now? What if you planted trees that would bear fruit 5, 10, or 15 years from now? And I want you to get a sense that you're gleaning information from a life where you are at your healthiest and happiest. And I want you to imagine that you're getting a sense that there is at least 2 or 3 things that you can do in the present, in your reality, that enable your reality to gravitate towards a similar level of health and happiness. And if you have an idea of what those 2 or 3 things would be, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine in all of these infinite realities, there is a future where you achieve big goals. And I want you to imagine that you're going to now teleport to a future where you have accomplished big goals, not from a place of status, not from a place of accomplishments in material or financial means. I want you to imagine that you're about to teleport to a future reality of all your infinite realities that gave you the sense of most fulfillment. And when you're ready to go to that reality, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to again observe, just a secret spectator in this reality, what was the big goal you actually achieved? What was the thing you did? What was the thing that enabled that to give you such a feeling of fulfillment? And I want you to get a sense that just for a moment you're going to shift perspectives. So instead of observing, you're experiencing, and I want you to experience just for a moment what it would be like to have achieved that big, significant goal. And make an evaluation of why it feels so fulfilling to have accomplished or experienced this significant goal. And I want you to accept that in all of these different realities, your genetics are identical. The only difference is the choices, the decisions you make. And I want you to get a sense that if this goal was accomplished in any of your realities, it then must be possible for you to achieve in your reality. So breathe in and breathe out and feel like you're returning to your reality with a desire to work towards significant goals that genuinely improve the quality of your life. I want you to imagine thinking of a goal in your future that would mean you have to be of a certain level of health, vitality, and fitness to achieve that goal. I want you to imagine a future version of you where you are successfully doing that thing that would be challenging for you to do right now, but possible with sufficient choices, decision, perhaps training and investment of time. And I want you to think of the pragmatic things that you would need to do in order for that to be a possibility. If you imagine yourself lifting heavy weights, you might need to eat more protein or lift heavier weights that lead up to that weight. If you see yourself running long distances, see yourself making lifestyle changes that enable you to sleep better, eat better, and to give regular time to training your heart and your cardiovascular system. Or maybe you see yourself sleeping so well, or maybe you see yourself doing other things, and just think backwards, almost like you're reverse engineering. What are the key changes that are just necessary, pragmatic, that you would need to make? If you had a big goal of racing huskies in Alaska or northern Canada, it would be a pragmatic thing to move house and live in that place. And I want you to think of your goal. What pragmatic things would you just need to do in order for that to be achievable, believable, to be doable for you? And then think of a different goal. Maybe a relationship goal. Something that would give you a deep sense of fulfillment that isn't necessarily related to your health, even if your health would enhance that relationship goal. See a future, and I want you to think of what are the key things that could jeopardize that desirable future? And what are the key things that could enhance and increase the probability of that desirable future? And as you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to unlock a feeling of pragmatic decision making. There is no big struggle, there is no big battle. Sometimes it just requires a decision to do that thing and never look back. To accept that there was a version of you that did certain things and you're not that person anymore. And if you have an insight of certain changes that would just be useful to make in order to live the life you truly want to live, then at the point where you can conceive it, you are simultaneously unleashing the resources required to do that very thing. I want you to get a sense that if you need more discipline, you buy discipline by doing difficult things. If you need more connection with health, you get that connection from health by doing consistently healthy things. Many people are waiting to feel a certain way before they do a certain thing, without realizing it works the other way round. You get smarter by trying to solve problems. You deal with ignorance by figuring that there's so much you don't know and being willing to learn what you don't know. And there are so many things that become impossible to do while you keep doing certain things. I want you to imagine if your life's goal was to be a driving instructor, but you were consistently reckless on the roads, always speeding, going through red lights, that even if you became a driving instructor, very soon you might lose your license and your livelihood would disappear. That you would have the capacity to be a safer, more sensible driver. But what would unlock that is a desire to be this driving instructor. And I want you to think of what are the key things that are just pragmatic and sensible, natural, easy things to do that are just necessary to take you towards that future that you desire. And if your unconscious mind is willing to reconcile the differences, in many cases, that's what setting a big goal is. Having absolute clarity on that thing that you want, and being willing to make the sacrifices required in order to get it. And sometimes the sacrifices are actually enjoyable and desirable in and of themselves. I want you to get a sense that in many experiences, the journey was more desirable than the destination. And I want you to think of these incredible goals that feel compelling and desirable for you, and to answer the question, how do you enjoy the journey towards these goals? What reduces the friction towards these goals? What are the biggest pitfalls that could prevent you from ever reaching these goals? And how do you avoid falling in the pitfalls? And allow your intuition to guide you either right now or in the future as you think about the future that you desire, a healthy, happy, fulfilling future. And sometimes certain things are required. If someone wanted to be a huge bodybuilder, they would reconcile that they need to eat vast amounts of protein and lift heavy weights a lot of the time. That it would be unrealistic for them to want to be that bodybuilder without doing what's necessary to move in that direction. And I want you to think of what is just necessary for you to do to get to that place where you want to get to. Unlock the resources to make that a simple, pragmatic choice. At a time in your life, you needed to move location, so you did. At a time in your life, you needed to learn something new, so you did. There was a time in your life that you needed to acquire more skills, so you did. And now, there is a time that you need to do certain things, so you will. And if you accept that you have the ability to make decisions, choices, to reconcile that in order to get to where you want to get to, certain things just need to be done, let me know by nodding your head. And unlock all of the resources required to make that happen. And imagine what it would be like today if you were to make progress in that area. And what would it be tomorrow to continue making progress in that area? And I want you to notice as a day turns into 2, and 2 days turns into 3, then 4, and 4 days then turns into a week, and then 2 weeks, that what seems like it's a real challenge gets easier and easier and easier. Because each time you make progress, it gives you evidence you can do that difficult thing. I want you to get a sense that you are unlocking powerful resources, facilitating pragmatic decision making, and your future, this desirable future, like a magnet, is pulling you towards that. There are certain things that never really served you, certain things that never really lived up to their promise, certain things that were always just bait and switch. Promised one thing, delivered something else. And if you're ready to let go of the past and to move forward to the future you truly crave, having a focus on improvements and progress rather than the behavior that you want to stop doing, then see a future of incremental progress. Feel what it would feel like that you get your rewards and satisfaction and the buzz from doing difficult things, from making progress, from mini victories and accomplishments, and to knowing that you're traveling towards the very future that you desire most. And then just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Feel like you're returning to the present, but taking clarity of the future that you desire with you, taking a decisiveness to make pragmatic decisions with you, and feeling that you're able to make progress and heal your body on your journey. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Get a sense that you're fully integrated into the present right now as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.